the grand finals.
What a story we have here today, Jordan. I don't think many people expected that we would be here looking at this right now today. Nora-Rengo, former APAC champions, former semi-finalists of the Six Invitational, on the cusp of going out in the semis here at an APAC event, and it's Aerowolf who are their harbingers.
Now finally, Nora-Rengo ban out Montagna. Aerowolf, these guys just love the non-Thatcher setup. They've done it on Villa, they've done it on Cafe, they just did it on Border. They are becoming very, very comfortable with it, and Thatcher is an operator that you really just take for granted a lot of the time. You think, well, we have EMPs, we're just going to use them here and there, blah, blah, blah. And actually, when Speakeasy got the chance to play Thatcher yesterday, he made quite a few mistakes. Maybe he's just not used to having Thatcher on the board. But from Aerowolf, nothing new at all. And for defensive ban for Nora-Rengo, same. They hate Echo, really. He has two Yokai drones that are semi-invisible. They can deny the plant, leave it concussed for about 10 seconds. All in all, a very, very powerful operator. He has an ACOG that's silenced as well.
I think the big one that we talk about is, as we spoke quite extensively on yesterday, that Montaigne ban. Fnatic banned Montaigne against Aerowolf on 3 different maps in their best of 3. Every single map. And here we have, it wasn't the instrumental icon for Aerowolf heading into Border. However, it did certainly have an effect, and there were rounds where Nora-Rengo looked at a loss. Now, on Villa, it's a map where the defense is much more expected to be favored than Border. And I think most people are expecting that if you bring a Monty on Villa, that's the one thing that you can really do to force the enemy out. We've seen it from so many teams in the past. Montaigne on Villa is so effective, and Nora-Rengo going to completely get rid of that. Aerowolf will have to fall back on their roots, which honestly I think they won't be too worried about. They've been absolutely on fire, and despite Nora-Rengo strategically nailing some of these rounds, Aerowolf have been on the ball and ready to deal with the hand that's been dealt to them. It's something that you mentioned from Luna Metal earlier.
Yeah, indeed. And, you know, just harkening back to yesterday a bit, right now you have Aerowolf on attack, Nora-Rengo on defense. Now, this being Aerowolf's pick, it means that Nora-Rengo chose the sides. And yesterday, it was here on attack that Aerowolf went up 3-1. Of course, Fnatic came back to 3-3, but eventually Aerowolf closed it out 7-5 in their favor. Mavi is trying a bullet hole spawn peek. Not sure if that's going to be too successful, but this is late from Ratio. Still reinforcing Vault. If Aerowolf were a bit more aggressive, which they are not, thankfully for Nora-Rengo, then that could have been punished, but, you know, all too well that ends well.
So it's a good Aviator defense so far from Nora-Rengo. We've talked about how their strategies seem to be fairly intact. It's not overarching strats or takes that seem to be the issue for Nora at all. It's sometimes Aerowolf are ready, much more ready than Nora-Rengo to make these super quick adaptations and play chemically as a team together, bounce off around each other, and win out these team fight engagements much more effectively than Nora. So shifting our focus onto Aerowolf, who will have to attack this Aviator bomb site. So far, it's a bit slow progress. They're pushing from the south side. Yesterday, we saw a lot of aggression from the Nomad player. Previously, it was Speakeasy from this south side classical hallway, very early shutting down players playing in that classical hallway itself, as well as at the 90 hallway at the end, where we see Marvi currently on the Jaeger. But he does drop downstairs, so he won't be flushed out of that position for now by Aerowolf. A C4 could come around and find that kill, but it's not to be. Marvi elsewhere caught off guard by Hysterics, and now Aerowolf are in that numbers advantage.
A really good look for Aerowolf. Speakeasy taking some damage. He was quite quiet on Border, but look, if you're winning 7-1, doesn't really matter. And Nora-Rengo not getting their round started off the best right now. And if you look at the opening duel statistics, if they lose it and it's untraded, well, their victory percentage just dropped to 28%, and that's a fairly damning evidence, because that's from Japan, where the competition is just as good.
So it's been a fairly slow round thus far. Papilia is standing on this bar itself to prevent him from being exposed to those Maverick holes. A smart move. Maverick very effective on this map, and we saw Nora-Rengo use it well on board. It's Aerowolf this time. Luna Metal pushing from the study side. Ysera finds another pick. 5 versus 3 now. They have a severe numbers advantage. They need to start to collapse now on the bomb site. 30 seconds to go. Yoshingo is below, so be wary of that C4. Keep that in mind for later, but it's the 2 players on site who need to hold and delay Aerowolf for as long as possible, but Ysera cuts one off guard. It's just 2 left for Nora-Rengo. Finally, there is 1 frag going their way, but it's a 1 versus 4 for poor Yoshingo, the IGL, and he has so much to do. Can't even win the first engagement. Aerowolf, another round.
That is incredible. That has been, what, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4. That has been, whew. That's been 6 in a row for Aerowolf, I think, if my math is correct.
So that's what I count as well. 6 in a row for Aerowolf, taking an absolute storm on border. And then here kicking it off with a strong attack. What is it that Aerowolf have done that's got them in this right vibe? We can hear them. They're loud. They're energetic. What is it that they have let go of? That weight is off their chest, and they are embracing their true performance, their true ability here, their full potential.
Very, very easier said than done, but seems to have been done by Aerowolf. You don't care what happens. You throw rounds, whatever, move on. And now you see, we always see this, and some teams can do it fairly effortlessly, but clearly it's not something that Aerowolf took it very lightly. Took them a long time, and they brought it out, and now they're looking so comfortable. They're constantly talking. You see, even when they won the round, Mentalist and Luna Metal, they're just chatting with the rest of the teammates, and there was serious chatter, not like, hey, what are we having for dinner right now, blah, blah, that kind of stuff. You do have that, being from Singapore, you'll just love your food. But, just one thing I also want to note in that round, usually you don't want drones to be scanned on. You want the information. You don't want the defenders to know that they're being scanned, they're being spotted. But what Aerowolf was doing with the scans was, so Papilia wanted to peek out, right, from the doorway, and they scanned him, and Papilia ran back. That allowed Ysera to do a relatively risk-free peek onto the default camera inside of 90. That's very smart play. You use that knowledge that people are going to run away when you scan them, and you use it to your advantage.
It's a reattempt here on Aviator Games Room for Nora-Rengo. Aerowolf do really emphasize these study pushes from that south side, whereas a lot of teams go from the other side. And once again, the study push proving to be effective. Ysera takes down that first player. This Nomad as well can prevent any kind of a push back from Nora-Rengo. They clear out that 90 hallway by throwing a concussion mine all the way down, checking for no ADSs. They destroy the Evil Eye as well with the explosive from the lifeline. Everything's working well. Hysterics on solo duty to watch out for these players downstairs. Takes Marvi incredibly low. He's still up and running, but he doesn't have a C4. That's for Yoshingo for that vertical play to deny the bomb plant later in the round.
Yoshin God not really turning up too godly in this series so far. And you know what thing? Another thing I noticed from Aerowolf, they are double stacking over here at the study angle. Speakeasy was prone, Ysera was standing up. So the thing is, when a defender peeks out, it's definitely going to be traded because who do you fire? Do you fire head level? Do you fire prone level? What do you do? And a lot of times, you end up losing no one on the attack because this indecision that you create in the defender's mind, that works out beautifully. Now, yesterday, we saw the Maverick and Mentalist working together beautifully. So Luna Metal opens it and Mentalist peeks in. He got a kill yesterday. Usually he's only looking for bandit batteries, but that's all he's going to get. Hysterics, though, he's going to finish off Marvi.
Hysterics is doing such a good job downstairs, and I love this. Aerowolf, they have their brunt of their push. They have so many players working together for that, but they have Hysterics, and now Speakeasy as well working together. Speakeasy is not even needed because Hysterics is on fire, on job duty downstairs to cover these roamers, cut them off and prevent that vertical play. It's worked perfectly so far. No more C4s on the board for Nora-Rengo for that vertical play, and there's a lot of time for Aerowolf to make this happen.
Oh, this is a nice angle, and Racial finally answers back onto Aerowolf. This is good for them because they still can make this work. It's 30 seconds. This is a very unorthodox angle. Not sure if they've thrown this out. And yep, it's going to be one more for Racial. He can get a third. Can he get a fourth? Yes, he doesn't know. It's going to be on for the ace. But Nora-Rengo finally answers back.
And they explode into it as well. The crowd's pretty happy about that one. Nora-Rengo, so many times they've mastered these APAC finals. They've been global. They've got so many fans behind them. And even after a bit of a blip on border, they're not going to lie down just yet.
So these are the kind of throws that Aerowolf themselves admit are throws, and they need to move on from. So there were mistakes made, so you have to acknowledge those mistakes, realize you're not going to make those mistakes anymore, or rather try not to, and then move on. Nora-Rengo, I would say, are the masters at this in terms of their mental game. Always happy, and I play some college level sports, and this is the kind of thing I try to tell my teammates as well. Look at Nora-Rengo, whenever they're down or whatever, they never lose the fight. I mean, the spirit to fight.
That's right. That makes so much difference, doesn't it? That will to keep going and really give your all. Because as soon as you're not putting in 100%, that's it. You can't ever give up. And Nora-Rengo, after that first embarrassment on border, which was their map pick, I think Aerowolf, I heard apparently mental during the game. He was so surprised that Nora-Rengo picked this map if Aero was doing so well. Here on Aero's own map, it looks like we do have more of a tight contest between these teams. Nora-Rengo getting their heads back in the game. We've seen amazing performances from them yesterday. 2 great games against Cloud9. Also a pretty good season. Maybe not as good as we'd hoped from them in the Japan sub-region. But certainly, Nora-Rengo are never a team we can count out.
So this is, of course, a defender-sided map in APAC at very least. I know in NA, sometimes teams go up 5-1 on attack and then 5-1 again, and it becomes a draw. But here in APAC, it's defender-sided. Yesterday, it was 3-3 on Aerowolf's attack, so not going to be too unhappy if that same scoreline comes out. But of course, they will be kicking themselves for that round lost. And I'm not sure if Hysterix actually spotted the camera there, but he's going to be on cam duty this time. So Trophy Statuary is a great bomb site to defend. It is a bit unorthodox that you have the chasm in between, so that doesn't allow you to rotate that effectively. The question is whether Aerowolf are going to send Hysterix solo on roam clear, because that's a very dangerous proposition. If he loses the fight, that's no trade coming out.
But it is what they've been doing so far. Occasionally Speakeasy will come to assist, but I have enjoyed seeing how Hysterix is given that permission to go solo, use with the team information, and he's constantly working around what the rest of his team is doing. We'll see whether he continues that this round, but looking at Nora-Rengo at the moment, it is a statuary and trophy room defense, and Papilia the first to fall, the Maestro no less. Meryu wants to put up some resistance onto this push from the Aviator side. So typically we see teams heavily invest into this south side when defending north, but I think it's a lot of information gathering that's been delaying Aerowolf so far. We haven't quite seen, but Mute Jammers and Mozzie drones together in tandem are causing Aerowolf to take a whole 2 minutes to push this south side. They're so far from this bomb site, but they do have that first pick. Stow and Steady may well win the race.
That's a good smoke grenade from Mentalist. It allows him to contest this stairs player who was there. He's not there anymore, but it allows him to contest it without fear of peak coming out from 90 or the other side, even though they really have 90 control from Speakeasy. Now he can hold it as the smoke dissipates. So the push from Aerowolf is really like in football. You have the defensive lines pushing up together and together and together. That allows you to hold your shape and hold your attack very, very beautifully. The wall's still not been opened up, and as you get down to the final 30 seconds, C4 is going to deny this, and Meryu, he's going to pile on.
Perfectly pre-placed C4 from Yashingo, and it's going so well for Nora now. 2 left on Aerowolf. Yashingo takes the passive angle, he wins the fight. It's all up to Speakeasy now. We know he's so good. We know he's joined this team most recently, but he stepped up. He can't win that next fight. Nora-Rengo go up in the map, 2-1.
So what's dangerous about Nora-Rengo? And I said an Aerowolf that doesn't throw is very dangerous. But Nora-Rengo, you give them 1 round. You bring them back to life.
That's exactly what we've seen. It looks like they've been resurrected. As soon as they won that round number 2, there was an explosion. They animated. And now, similar story here on the next round along. A lot of hearts on the line here. Not to mention the fact that this is the very first Pro League season where our Pro League finals is in APAC itself. It is in Japan, in Tokoname. And I have no doubt, we have 2 Japanese teams through to the semi-finals. Nora-Rengo here in this match, and Cyclops later to face Wildcard. Can you imagine a world where neither of these Japanese teams make it to the very first Pro League finals in Japan, and the heartbreak that that would cause not only the players on these teams, but the Japanese region as such a dedicated fan base, one of the most hardcore Rainbow Six fan bases in the world. Just hoping to cheer on a Japanese team in Japan. Nora-Rengo's got to be feeling the pressure of that on their backs right now.
Well, I think they were feeling it, but with those 2 rounds and the manner of victory that came with it, you know, this is what we expect from Nora-Rengo. The individual gun skill is so very strong. First, it was Rachel on the Maestro, and then, of course, it was the Shingo. He was just crazy, and Aerowolf getting a bit ahead of themselves, taking those fights in really unadvantageous positions. So now, it's going to be hard. I said that was going to be hard, but you heard the cheer. Instantly, Hysterics, he takes down Rachel. That's a big one, but there's still Marvi, Amelia, Mario.
Yeah, I think that was just a pre-fire through the window as well, because it looked like the body was a few meters from the window, so maybe Rachel was just running past, and unfortunate timing. Hysterics got that one. We're not quite sure. It could have been a spawn peek, but nonetheless, that will help out Aerowolf. Mind you, they did find the opening pick in the previous round onto Papilia, who was playing Maestro at the time, and that didn't make the difference at the end of the story. Nonetheless, we are on to our 3rd bomb site for Aerowolf. Nora-Rengo. They are defending the kitchen bomb site and dining room downstairs. And Aerowolf will have to take this top floor control away from Nora if they want to engage that vertical play that is signposted by the fact that they've brought the Buck and the Jackal shotguns to open up the floor and put pressure onto that bomb site.
So interesting that Speakeasy is playing the Buck. Usually I would expect it to be the other way around. Oh, that's a great shot. Usually you'd expect Aerowolf to lose it because this is Nora-Rengo you're talking about. This is Yoshin God you're talking about. But no, Speakeasy is every bit his equal. And I was saying, yeah, maybe it's a bit weird that Speakeasy's on the Buck and Mentalist on Jackal because the playstyles are kind of opposite and what we've seen from both of them, kind of, in the roles that Aerowolf plays them in. But look, it's working out so well.
Yeah, that's really good top floor control. It takes a minute and a half, and now they have to ideally prevent these flanks, but Mental's keeping the pressure on Nora-Rengo horizontally as well as that vertical play. Now he's dedicated to flank watch, it looks like. 2 players from Nora-Rengo left. Now we don't count them out. We've seen Racial clutch in the past with his 4K. Meryu, also one of the best players, that captain of Nora-Rengo, trying to destroy these bandit batteries. Speed, he can't quite find the right angle. You can't aim directly downwards. He's just going to use a frag grenade to make it work. Nice idea there. It also prevents Meryu from getting in position to bandit trick that one. Now instead, Meryu is actually playing very aggressive and he gets punished for it. A 1 versus 5 for poor Marvi, the newest player on Nora-Rengo. So much time to play with for Aerowolf, but they're not even going to get aggressive. They're just going to get this plant down. Marvi can self-res, but surely it's closed out. Aerowolf even up the scoreline.
That was a flawless round from Aerowolf. And the funny thing is, right, I would say that they're not using Marvi too effectively, putting him in such a passive role. Well, this guy is a young gun and he's one of the best in Japan. I would say, you know, talking to XQQ, you know, from CAG, the coach, he said, well, you guys don't know Marvi, but we know in Japan that this guy is crazy good, as all Japanese players are, of course, with their aim. But when you're new to the team, when your strategy making isn't working out so well, what you should do, in my opinion, is just put the guy on fragging duty and let him do his job, because the fragger doesn't really need to be 100% in sync with your strategy.
Yeah, it's hard to know exactly.
Can't say though, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to know exactly the dynamics of Nora-Rengo from an outwards perspective, because there is so much that goes on in Rainbow Six that, as viewers, we can only speculate, because we don't know the call-outs that are being made. Even if we were sitting in comms, I don't speak Japanese, so I wouldn't know the call-outs being made by Nora-Rengo.
Jessica, where are you?
We don't understand exactly the dynamic and how these teams work, but we can only speculate. Nora-Rengo, obviously they are dealing with Marvi, only been on the team for a short period, adjusting to that as well. replacing Ramu, who was much more in that fragging role. So that's, I guess, another thing to touch on for Nora-Rengo. This hasn't been a one-to-one switch where Ramu was primarily in fragging positions and then Marvi kind of moving on to a more passive role where he kind of waits for things to happen. That certainly affects not only Marvi himself, but the rest of the team on Nora-Rengo.
Yeah, and I believe that is a knockdown effect from Walker's departure, because when Yashingo came in, initially he wasn't put on those fragging roles as well, but that is what he actually excels in. And, you know, when JJ came in for the APAC finals, he too was on a kind of a quasi-support role, and it didn't really make sense. That's why we kind of underrated Nora-Rengo back then. Of course, they made it through anyway, and right now we seem to be underrating them. They might make us eat our words. But so far, I would say, as far as role composition goes, you have noted that the overall structure for Nora-Rengo seems to be a lot better now.
That said, they are struggling here in the semi-finals. They need to close out this map and then move on to bank, take a victory there if they are to head to the Tokoname Pro League finals. It'll also be their first opportunity to qualify for the 6 Invitational 2020. A good long angle taken for Marvi here. This is what we wanted to see. We wanted to see him take more aggressive positions, but Aerowolf are ready to receive it. I believe that was Speakeasy destroying that Maestro camera. Not sure if it exactly landed on point. Ysera is going to prevent that aggressive play, though, from Nora-Rengo by deploying an air jab to prevent that aggression towards that classical hallway. But so far, I like the adaptation I'm seeing from Nora-Rengo. Deployable shield in objective should allow them to do a bit better a job, but there's a good refrag onto the Aviator bomb site. Aerowolf are in closing now. They have tons of time to make it work as well.
So now Mentalist C, he's pushing up from the Fountain Spawn side from the Trophy Statuary and is holding 90 from there. So Marvi is there, and the Evil Eye, yes, it has been eliminated. If Marvi gets aggressive, Mental C is just going to take them down. It's an ACOG, it's a very patient game that he's playing, and Mental is just waiting for Speakeasy to push Marvi into his waiting arms. Now, as I said, Marvi now he's on the more aggressive role, so this might just be what works out for Nora-Rengo. He's going to have to fight the upside down rappel as well, and he's going to lose that gunfight, because Hysterics, he has shown yesterday as well, he is so good at this, and we're going to get a bit of an Australian look at things.
Down under, we do things a bit different here down under. Now it's Aerowolf exploding into action, taking the bomb side. Papilia, what have you got to show for us, mate? 4 to find, and you can't find it any. That's a great attack again for Aerowolf onto that Aviator bomb site. It's a very, very tight half here between Nora-Rengo and Aerowolf.
So 3K for Speakeasy, 2 for Hysterics in that round. The rest of Aerowolf, now they may not get kills, but this is hard for, you know, the more average viewer to see, but if you watch more Rainbow Six, you're going to get into the groove. The rest of these players, they are just coming there for support. They're helping these fraggers do their job. Their work is so important. Mentalist C holding that angle, it meant Marvi had nowhere to go. Speakeasy pushing up from the study side meant that Marvi had nowhere to go as well.
That's a really good thing to point out. That execution, that coordination from Aerowolf, they're identifying a player. So, for example, Marvi, they knew he didn't have a rotate into Vault. They knew he was trapped at 90 hallway. They had one player watching through classical hallway, cutting him off. They had Mentalist opening up that cheeky angle to watch from the other direction, from the statuary. And then, of course, that rappel on the window. One thing to note is Hysterics didn't hard commit to that angle. He quickly repelled and peeked it and then ducked away. He happened to get the injure on the first peek. That was really nice. But if he had hard committed into that bomb fight, that gunfight, it would have been a 1 versus 1. He could well have lost that, and Aerowolf would still not have killed that player. So really nice idea from Aerowolf, really nice team coordination. I'm loving everything I'm seeing so far, and I feel like at the moment, Nora-Rengo, they're losing a lot of when there are multiple Aerowolf players facing just one Nora-Rengo player, and we really need to see Nora-Rengo start to turn that on its head. We need to see them getting that chemistry together, need to see them refragging each other, need to see them closer together, establishing these crossfires to prevent Aerowolf from walking all over them.
Talking about walking all over them, that kind of play, it only can really be consistently successful if you get man count advantage. There were 3 players dedicated to Marvi. You can't do that if you're down men. So this is very important for Aerowolf winning their opening duels. And as I brought out that statistic earlier, Nora-Rengo only win 28% of the rounds if, or is it 22? That if they don't trade that opening death.
Oh, he's a run out, but what was that? Lunametal was watching perfectly. A great job. And we're talking about the team play constantly. Aerowolf, they never let themselves get punished for it. They're covering their buddies every single time. Ysera was nearly a dead man. A great job from Luna to cover his teammate. Meryu's the first one to fall here.
He is the babysitter after all, and he's protecting his kids like a mother hen. 2 minutes left in this round. The kill goes untraded, and as I said, the win percentage just plummets to 28 for Nora-Rengo. Now, Meryu going down is big because he is Nora-Rengo's top fragger. Against MIBR, when Kizoku played in place of a sick Meryu, they still won a map, but the next day you could tell when Meryu came back, even though he was sick, he couldn't play up to his potential, and he's an insane player, and Nora-Rengo really missed him.
Meryu, the team captain, star fragger of Nora-Rengo. But despite all of this, hasn't been enough to stem the bleeding against Aerowolf. Nora-Rengo fighting at the moment to equalize this half. We talk about how Villa should typically be a defensive-sided map. But Nora-Rengo fighting from behind on their own defensive half. After this round, they'll switch over to the attack, and we'll see Aerowolf sit pretty, and it's going so well for them. Another kill, 1 versus 5. How many times have we got to say it? It's another flawless round for the Singaporeans.
That is incredible. That take was gorgeous. And the patience from Aerowolf, especially Mentalist C, I think they knew exactly where the player was, because when Mentalist peaked, there was like a one tap or like a short burst. It was perfectly on point. And that comes from great communication, great drone work, and just in general, great aim as well. So the problem that Aerowolf historically has had has been, in my opinion, communication as well as drone placement. A lot of times they get flanked when on the attack, and they have no clue because either they don't have the flank drone, or no one's watching the flank drone, or just no one's guarding the flank. That last season they fixed that. Okay, and this season I think they fixed the communication and the mental game, and that is making them as close to a perfect team as could be in APAC. Now, if they go to Japan, if they go to Montreal again, it will be a different story, different kind of teams. Nora-Rengo, though, I can't believe it. I don't know what they will be feeling. Missing out on Tokonami, it's going to be massive.
That would be such a heartbreaking moment. The Japanese team, everyone knows them in Rainbow Six. Everybody knows Nora-Rengo, the Japanese. They are the faces of the Japanese Rainbow Six Siege team, and they may not qualify for Tokonami. On the other side of this coin, though, cast your mind back. Picture 2017. Ubisoft Montreal announces the very first debut of the 6 Invitational, and there is one team from APAC to play on PC, and they're called a little team called Envy, now known as Aerowolf. Ever since then, 3 years later, there is a 6 Invitational 2020, and it blows the scale out of proportion back in Montreal. Aerowolf, they're just 3 rounds away from punching a ticket back to where it all began. But Aerowolf isn't going to get too ahead of themselves, because Nora-Rengo started very strongly with the first pick onto Lunametal.
So that was very poor from Aerowolf, particularly from Lunametal. Now he's the IGL, so sometimes he overlooks his own play. Like yesterday, he forgot to activate the Nook gadget when he was trying to plant in smoke. So late setup, Nora-Rengo were making late setups happen. They weren't punished for it, but Aerowolf, I said, the Japanese team, they play aggressive, and right away they're punishing Lunametal. So that FBI shotgun we are seeing, well, that's not going to be doing anything more. Of course, it is recoverable from Aerowolf, but the thing is, we don't really have perfect statistics for Aerowolf on this, but Nora-Rengo are in a fantastic position.
That Buck playing below it is Yoshingo, one of the star players from Nora-Rengo and the IGL, opening up various angles, but you can see how confident Aerowolf are. Hysterix is peeking right on down that with the Elder. Racial also trying to unreinforce this wall into the bar so that no doubt the Buck or one of the other players, perhaps Jackal or Ash, can open up those holes. Yoshingo does spot out one player. He spots him out, but the shotgun doesn't have enough ammunition to nail the kill. Mental upstairs. He's just preoccupied with this study presence at the moment.
Is he going to go for it? I'm not sure if, yep, Papilla, he's not quite watching it. Speakeasy's going to make it 4v4. Mario goes down with 1 minute left to go. Now, this is where you want to be getting your execute off. This is where statistically it is the most successful. The problem is right now, Nora-Rengo are nowhere in position to do it. They are trying to make headway into the bomb site, but they're just not sure. They don't have perfect information. Utility flies in. Those are smoke grenades, of course. Mentalist wants to get punchy. Ysera with a double kill on the C4. That is going to turn the tide. And Mentalist, he's going to take 1 down. He's going to get 2.
God.
That is insane from Aerowolf. And they are going up 5-2, 2 rounds away. What a shout that was.
A quick 2K for Ysera with that Nitro Cell and another quick 2K for Mentalist. You can see he timed that perfectly. For so long in the round was he tempted to peek out of that study, but he knew Nora-Rengo may well be baiting him into it. Nora didn't bring the Nomad, so it enabled him to go for that wide peek through the study door. A bit of a difference that we're seeing between these two teams' operator picks and how they're denying that aggressive play. And in fact, Nora-Rengo seem not to be denying that aggressive play. They'll have to go back to the drawing board and sort this out. They'll take a tactical timeout. Shakar, what have they got to do here? Because they're 2 rounds away from losing, being eliminated from APAC finals for the first time in 3 seasons.
Now, I can't quite see the Nora-Rengo players fantastically, but the thing is, Kizoku, he's not an analyst. He's not the strat guy. Those are an army of analysts back home in Japan. Kizoku plays the mental game, and I think mental game has always been strong for Nora-Rengo. What we're seeing here really is Aerowolf tactically outclassing them.
But if you cast your mind way back to the first seasons of APAC Pro League when Nora-Rengo really struggled, it actually was, they were one of the most mechanically skilled teams, but also they had such a depth of strategy. They always had these great strategies they would bring out and counter the enemy team. The thing that always prevented them from closing games was that mentality, that attitude, that issue that when the chips were down, Nora-Rengo had trouble fighting back. Now, we've now known Nora-Rengo to be that animated team, the team that have come out of their shells. They dance around, they have fun, and they make it work. They keep their spirits up. But every single time I see Nora-Rengo losing, it's because they go quiet. I remember it against Team Empire at the 6th Invitational. I walked right past where Nora-Rengo was sitting, and the only player on that team who was making any noise was Waka. And he was trying to he was looking at his teammates, he was tapping them on the shoulder and saying, come on guys, let's do this. Obviously I don't speak Japanese, but I can assume that's what he was saying. And now Waka's gone. Nora-Rengo, they've had a trial and they've had so many tribulations over the last 6 months. They're not quite at the form that they used to be, but we still thought maybe they were good enough to take it home, get the pride for Japan in Tokoname, but we're not even sure that's going to make it that far.
Funny thing is, Empire were really scared of Waka. A lot of teams were really scared of Waka. Since he has left, a lot of the fear factor against Nora-Rengo, it's kind of evaporated. And that's never something you want to see, because if teams stop fearing you, we saw that against G2 Esports, the moment people realize, oh, wait, these guys are fallible, you know, we can take them.
If you shoot them in the head, they still die.
You're correct. Even gods bleed.
So it seems, yeah, Yoshingo, look, he's been a great player for Nora-Rengo. I really think he was a good addition to the team, but there's still something missing on Nora-Rengo. There was a hole that was created when Waka left, and we're yet to see it properly filled.
It's 8 months since he left. It's so long.
Now, they may be shadows of their former glory, but they're fighting tooth and nail for anything that they can get. Aerowolf, they're playing this game on their terms. Border was an absolute upset, taking Nora-Rengo's own map pick, 7-1. Nora-Rengo at the start of this map, maybe we thought they'd have a serious shot, and another peek. Yoshingo, you're not meant to lose those, but Speakeasy wins that fight with a quick headshot. 5 versus 4. The opening kill goes the way of Aerowolf. No possible way for Nora-Rengo to trade that aggressive peek out, and they're on the back foot here.
We talked about crosshair placement on the way here to the venue today with Raven. And the thing is, the Buck C8 at range is still not a great weapon, and in fact, the Commander 9 might just be what you want in that engagement. And if you miss your first shot, well, Speakeasy will do just that. He will punish you. And now as we go down below halfway the round, Nora-Rengo with a man count disadvantage.
Oh, this is such a tight situation. Hysterics may well punish Meryu. He gets it. Perfect job, and Meryu just crouch walking around downstairs with no drone. No teamwork. Nora-Rengo are falling apart. They absolutely have fallen to shreds here. Meriyu abandoning all common sense and going for a solo play. He feels like the weight of the world's on his shoulders, but now he's out of the round. Both of the most experienced players on Nora-Rengo have to sit back and relax now. Mentalist holding fast on the bomb site. Racial goes in, but they didn't drone it. And Mental finds that kill, diffuses down. Another one for Speakeasy.
Flawless.
And yet again, Aerowolf dominates the round. It's match point. Oh, is it match point?
Yeah, it is.
Holy
it's match
cow.
point.
It's
series
match point.
Tokonami point. Invitational point.
Holy cow.
Remember, guys, these guys have failed Season 6, Season 7, Season 8, Season 9, Invitational Qualifiers 2018, 6 Major Paris Qualifiers, failure, 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 failure. But you learn from your failures.
They absolutely have. And one of the things that really resonated with me was you said, Luna Metal, he said, actually, something I've learned coming into this event is sometimes I have to resign myself. I have to think, look, I have my mindset on something, but sometimes it's actually better to just sit back and say, no, this is the hand we've been dealt. Let's work with that. Even a sloppy play can get the job done. And that's what Aerowolf have embraced. These are 5 players completely in sync. They don't even have a coach here with them. The guy standing behind them right now, that's their substitute that's meant to replace Mentalist after he retires.
I don't think he's making it
after
at
this season.
rate.
And right now, Jordan, the sub, he's getting the best lesson right now in how to do things right. Mentalist is the player we've been watching this entire event. Yesterday, after Aerowolf beat Fnatic for the first time ever, Mentalist was in tears. What are we going to expect from him if they win this next round and if they qualify once again for the 6th Invitational 3 years on, defeating both of the APAC giants?
Now, in the past, I talked about it yesterday, we saw it yesterday, they have a problem holding on to these massive leads. They didn't have a problem on border, Nora-Rengo's pick, but they did have a problem yesterday against Fnatic. They had a problem on Clubhouse as well. Nora-Rengo, as you said, they really seem very quiet right now, and that might just give Aero the lead.
So what is the win criteria for Nora right now? What do they have to do to get back on the horse? Meriyu's still sticking that Ash. It didn't work out last time. At least they're trying to drone this time, but I think Aerowolf have realized this lack of information from Nora-Rengo is really helping them out, bringing that Mutant Mozzie again to really deny Nora-Rengo. And now the first kill goes the way of Aerowolf as well. It's another one. How is this happening so early in the rounds?
This is looking so very good for Aerowolf. Right now, Nora-Rengo up against the wall. Speakeasy might get in another engagement together with Yashingo. It is a complete master bedroom push. Aerowolf know exactly what's going to be happening. They have so much information. There's even a pulse on the board. Maybe we're going to see a vertical C4 once again. And the patience from Aerowolf is incredible. And mind you, look at where we're defending. Kitchen, dining.
Now we have a quiet moment in the round. The calm before the storm as Aerowolf gather information. Aerowolf, Luna Metal himself, gathering that info, using the pulse scanner. Speakeasy, he wants to peek out. There's all 3 players in there. How many is he good for? 1 through the smoke. He's gonna peek aggressive. That's 1, and on the cusp of invitational points. Aerowolf make their return. 3 years on, they've done it.
My Singaporean countrymen, they do it. I can't believe it. I came into this event thinking, yep, Fnatic, they're gonna take them down even if they get past them. Maybe it's not gonna happen. Look at their faces. These guys have turned up. They have taken down 2 titans of APAC. People were saying, oh no, Fnatic and Nora-Rengo on the same side of the bracket. Well, you guys forgot about Aerowolf.
Well, you said it was a day of firsts yesterday for Aerowolf, and well, it turns out it's an event of firsts for Aerowolf as they not only for the first time take down Fnatic yesterday, for the first time now, we will see them through to the grand finals, and we see them through to the global finals of Season 10 as well. Aerowolf are your first team that have qualified through to the international events.
Now, commiserations, of course, to the Japanese team Nora-Rengo. These guys, they can't make it to their Pro League finals in their home country. Racial, he looks absolutely crestfallen right now, and Yashingo, he really doesn't know what to do. Papilia, This is the saddest I've ever seen him.
Well, this is also the first time in a long time that we've seen
Yeah.
Nora-Rengo fail to qualify for the global finals.
Since Season 6, Fnatic failed then, Nora-Rengo failed then. This time, again, 2 years on, some anniversaries here.
I mean, you have to give so much credit here to Aerowolf, don't you? Because, look, 3 seasons in a row, Fnatic and Nora-Rengo, Season 7, 8, and 9, both teams go through to the global finals. This season, both of those teams now have been defeated by Aerowolf. You could not have asked for a more difficult run into the grand finals than what Aerowolf have had today and yesterday, and yet they've come up in spades.
I'm speechless. I feel like I can't breathe. I had never expected that Aerowolf would really make it happen. There's always that dream, that spark that you hold on to when you're thinking about these teams, when you're thinking late at night, who's going to win? Who's going to make it? When are we finally going to see a change in APAC? Well, I think there's a revolution that's been coming, and Aerowolf have overthrown the kings and queens of APAC. Fnatic are gone in a 2-1. Nora-Rengo, it didn't even get to the 3 maps.
3 rounds in total on this. And now, Jordan, you said this was an incredible tough run-in, but in my opinion, if there ever was a bracket for Aerowolf to take on, this was the bracket, because the teams on the other side of the bracket, you know, the lower bracket, these are the teams that Aerowolf historically struggles against. Against Fnatic, against Nora-Rengo, this is what they can prep against and take down these teams with that prep.
Well, you know what the, I guess, unfortunate thing for Nora-Rengo, but the fantastic thing for the rest of us is of Nora-Rengo dropping that match is now we're going to have 2 brand new APAC champions. This is the first time any of these teams are going to make it through the global finals. Whether it is Wildcard or Xavier, it's 2 new representatives.
That's right. Never have we seen any of these teams at a Pro League finals before. We have seen some of these teams make it to international events, but I mean, I'm only going to count not going to count minors here, just majors and Pro League finals. Aerowolf last time, 3 years ago, and they're making it back for 2020.
And yes, you're right, Infin. I should have said Cyclops instead of Xavier, but that's okay. We all make mistakes. Over to Danny Kim, though, on the stage, and this is certainly going to be a heartfelt interview.
Thank you very much, Jordan. I'm here with the one and only Luna Metal from Aerowolf. First question, I think everyone is wondering, who is this Aerowolf, and where the hell have you been?
Well, I think this team has been plagued with a lot of different difficulties, from roster changes to scheduling and everything. So it really took a long time for us to find our way of playing this game, and I think we found it finally after 3 years.
And we talk about a few things. You're obviously all from Singapore, and you do have a bit more adversity. It's a bit more difficult to sort of grind and get to this point. It's been 3 years waiting for this opportunity. Was there any moments where you thought maybe this wasn't going to happen?
If I'm perfectly frank, I think about quitting almost every day ever since the second loss against Mindfreak. It's been really difficult because what we have to give up to continue pursuing it without much incentive to do so is very, it puts a burden not only on us, but all our loved ones who have expectations out of us. So we made a decision to persevere, and I think it has paid off, even though it took all this while.
Well, I mean, you got there in the end, and of course, you mentioned your loved ones, your support group that have stuck with you and made sure you could get through. When you mentioned that there were some naysayers, people that didn't believe, is there something you want to say to those people that believed in you and never gave up?
I really want to thank every single person who has believed in us. Even though our performance have been shaky, and there's more than one reason for you not to believe in us, and you still do. Yeah, I still thank you. I thank my family, and we all thank our families for giving us the chances to do this and support us and believe in us. And yeah, this means the world. I still don't know how we did it, but yeah.
Well, that's enough for that. You are going to the big show. You got the ticket. You made it 3 years. Let's give them a round of applause. Aerowolf are going to the global finals. Well done, mate. Jordan, I am done. You're going to take the rest of this show. Back to you, mate.
Danny, I don't know if you realize, but you don't also get to go to the global finals. Just Aerowolf. Oh, well, maybe. We'll see. I don't know. Depends how much everyone likes Danny Kim. Anyway, guys, I mean, look, we knew that was going to be a pretty emotional interview, and I think, you know, you can see how much that means for Aerowolf. But to grind for years and years, it feels like such a reward. I mean, this is such a big deal for a team like Aerowolf.
He was just as speechless as I am, and I mean, if you think about this, from Aerowolf, looking as an Aerowolf fan for a long time, there was always that question mark. Has Aerowolf peaked? Because they went to the Six Invitational 2017. You could see Glenn was wearing that jumper with the Six Invitational logo, the original Six Invitational. Was that their peak? And I think that we've proved that wrong.
Definitely doesn't seem like it. Let's go ahead and take a look at the bracket here. It's been updated, and it is going to show you our first team through to the grand final into, obviously, the global Pro League finals as well. That's Aerowolf for the first time in APAC history in their 5th season now coming to these kinds of events. Cyclops Athlete Gaming and Wildcard going to be coming up next. And as we mentioned previously, it's not going to be just one team for the first time through to those global finals as a new attendee. That is also going to be the case for both Cyclops and Wildcard, whichever one makes it through.
That's going to be a crazy, crazy good semi-final as well. So don't just go away just yet. Please, please don't, because I think Cyclops is a wildcard. Last time around, Wildcard didn't have prep on Cyclops. This time they will.
It's another rematch. We've seen so many before, but the real thing I want to hammer home is this is the last chance for Japan, for Cyclops, the last chance for Japan to get to that Pro League finals. Every single season of Pro League, a Japanese team has been top 2 out of APAC. This could be the first time that's not the case. Yeah. And it's also the last chance for ANZ, which we've seen Fnatic represent at almost every single global event since APAC was introduced.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say as well, Dylan. I'm so glad you mentioned it. That is going to be an insane game. The hopes of 2 nations resting on the shoulders now of our final 2 teams, CAG and Wildcard, coming up after this.